fastest way to stop losing fat is to keep cutting your calories. Sounds backwards, right? But if that scale hasn't moved in weeks, there's a good chance you're not eating too much. You might actually be eating too little, and by the end of this, you'll know exactly why and exactly what to fix. Listen, years ago when I first started trying to lose fat, I had no idea what I was doing. No tracking, no plan. I was just winging it. Some weeks I was probably like way over, other weeks barely eating. So I started tracking and I looked up the recommended daily calories for a man, because I am a man, and it said 2,000. I was like, all right, sweet, I'll hit that. It didn't work. So I cut harder and I got myself down to 1,600 calories a day and I felt like shit. I had no energy, I was weak in the gym, and I was just generally miserable. Now, the problem wasn't discipline. Overall, I'm a pretty disciplined guy. The problem was I didn't understand how a calorie deficit actually works. And here are the 3 things I got completely wrong. Number 1, your deficit is probably too aggressive. All right, here's what most people do. They decide to lose fat, so they Google how many daily calories they should eat, and then they see 2,000 calories if they're a man and maybe 1,500 calories if they're a woman. So what do? Well, they decide to eat a few hundred calories less than that, thinking that they're onto something. Week 1, the scale drops, they feel like it's working, but they don't know that largely in the first week, it's mostly glycogen and water that they've lost, not fat. Then week 3 comes along and their energy has tanked, their cravings are absolutely through the roof, and their mood has fallen off a cliff, so they either quit or they white knuckle through it feeling awful. And look, here's what's actually going on underneath all of that. The goal of a calorie deficit isn't to eat as little as possible. It's actually to eat as much as possible while still losing fat. The number I use with clients is around 200 to 300 calories below your actual maintenance level. Not 500, not 800, not 1,000. A small, controlled, sustainable deficit. Because a small deficit keeps the metabolism chugging along. Plus, you've got the fuel to train hard and you can stick to it for months, not days. And that generic number most people shoot for, well, that's not your number. That's a made-up average. For example, if you're a man, you might need 2,400 calories, and if you're a woman, you might need 1,800 calories a day. It all depends on your size, your muscle mass, and how active you are. So find your maintenance first, then take 200 to 300 off it, because that way there's more food, less suffering, and better results over time. And when it comes to fat loss, I'm a big advocate of slow and steady wins the race every single time. Number 2, you can't train like you've already given up. I see this pattern all the time. People start a diet, then 2 weeks in, they go to the gym and they're lifting half the weight they normally lift, using half the effort and just going through the motions. Well, why is that? Well, because mentally they've already told themselves that they're weak. And look, that is purely in your head. That is not your body talking. In the early weeks of a deficit, your glycogen stores are still full enough to work out at full capacity. You've got the fuel, so use it. But here's why this matters more than almost anything else in this entire video. The only signal your body needs to hold on to muscle while you're dieting is for it to know that muscle is being used for something important. So you've still got to work out with intention and put in some real effort. That way, your body gets the message to hold on to muscle because it's needed. But if you work out like you're already exhausted and with low effort, then your body gets a completely different message. It thinks, oh, well, this muscle isn't doing anything useful, so let's use it for energy instead. The effort you put in during a deficit can make a difference as to whether you lose fat or lose muscle. So your workout should still be challenging you. So keep that intensity up and work out the same way you would if you weren't dieting. Now, there will come a point deeper into the diet where strength drops a little, and that's absolutely fine and it's absolutely normal. And when you do reach that point, because it's coming, ease off slightly. But that's weeks down the line, not in week 2. If it's week 2, there's no excuse. Just work out with effort. Number 3, and this is the one almost nobody talks about. At some point, your fat loss is going to stall and the scale's just going to stop moving. Yes, you're already doing everything right, but nothing's happening. When that happens, what's the first thing most people do? Yeah, I mean, they cut calories, right? And that is exactly the wrong move. Your body isn't a calculator, it's a survival machine. And when it senses it's been in a prolonged deficit, it learns to adapt. It starts lowering how much energy it burns each day to match the lower food coming in. So you're eating less, but you're also burning less too. And that gap, that deficit, it shrinks and fat loss slows down. So most men and women cut harder and then the body adapts again and burns even less. And you keep cutting, it keeps adapting, and you feel terrible and your results get smaller and smaller. And that's the trap. Now, the way out of this trap is completely counterintuitive. When you plateau, eat more. And I'm not talking about having a binge or a blowout either. For 7 to 14 days, you want to bring your calories back up to maintenance level. And this is something called a diet break. And it sends your body a very clear signal. The famine is over. Now, as you're in the diet break, you'll find that your metabolism normalizes, your hormones settle, and your energy comes back tenfold. And then when you do drop back into that small deficit, your body responds to it again and the fat loss kicks back in. And I've lived this personally. At 1600 calories a day, I felt awful. Nothing was moving, and I thought the answer was to push harder, eat less, and suffer more. But the answer was the opposite. Eating more food for 1 week got me moving again. But this is the sort of stuff fitness influencers on Instagram will just never ever show you. Right, here's what I want to leave you with before we wrap things up. Everything in this video connects, okay? Finding your actual maintenance calories, setting the right deficit, keeping workout intensity high, and just knowing when to take a structured diet break. But knowing it and applying it to your life, your schedule, your body, and your history, well, those are two completely different challenges. Most people try to piece this together from YouTube videos and Instagram videos, and they end up guessing. And that was me for years because I didn't have a proper plan built around me specifically. Now, if that sounds familiar and you're tired of guessing and you're ready to get this properly structured, then you can apply to work with me by filling in a short form in the description box below. If I think you're a good fit after reading it, I'll send you a detailed questionnaire so I can properly understand your situation. And from there, we'll just figure it out together whether or not I can actually help you. And with that said, that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.